We've heard so much over the past few months about how finally free speech will thrive on Twitter thanks to Elon Musk taking over. It's a thing that's believed so fervently and with such a lack of evidence that it almost seems as if it's not actually what they think is going to happen. They just think that things are going to be set up in a way that benefit them on the right. And look, that's speculation, but we do have a little bit of evidence about how these sorts of things tend to work out. Because bear in mind, Twitter is not the first social media company to be owned or designed for right wingers. You have a lot of them. And although every single one of them has talked endlessly about their commitment to free speech, in practice, not really the way that it's worked out. So let's do a little bit of a run through of just some of the right wing social media sites. Let's start off with TruthSocial. Obviously, that's Trump's attempt to take over where Twitter began. That bans all sexual content and explicit language. So, maybe you don't think there should be people having sex, but you literally can't use explicit language. Its terms of service also allow moderators to ban anyone whose content is deemed libelous, slanderous, or otherwise objectionable. And if that sounds broad, it is by design. It means they can ban anything that they like for whatever reason. That's why it's so vague. Early versions of the platform's terms of service even required users to agree not to disparage, tarnish, or otherwise harm us or the site. And it ain't free speech if you literally can't say, hey, TruthSocial doesn't seem great. If that can get you banned, I'm not sure that freedom of speech is the core concern they say it is. Links to articles on external websites are being blocked up until right now. Phrases like abortion is healthcare can get you literally shadow banned. Your posts won't appear. Other banned content includes any coverage of the January 6th committee hearings, pro-choice messages, pro-gun messages by country music star Blake Shelton for some reason, criticism of US support for Ukraine. Even Roger Stone says his content gets banned or shadow banned on TruthSocial, and that's the president's one. He supposedly hates censorship and cancel culture more than anyone, and yet the place he spends all of his time spreading just the worst memes has a lot of different things that can get you banned. What do you think, Dan?
I continue to point in recent days to Nilay Patel's amazing article on The Verge, Welcome to Hell, Elon Musk, where he kind of points out in the context of Elon Musk's recent Twitter deal, the issue with these, I guess like garrisons towards free speech, right, on social media platforms. It's like continued parades toward this idea is that when you are a social media platform, you're either going to charge people exorbitant amounts for the service they won't pay, a la Elon Musk's attempt to do right now with Twitter verification, which I'm not gonna let you hide from that question on, John. Or you make it a free service. When it's a free service, it costs an obscene amount of money to run, and you're going to need advertisers. You're going to need some form of revenue. Advertisers are not going to want to advertise against graphically violent content or children in indecent situations. All those things could broadly be considered censorship. And a couple of those things, even by some prominent right-wing pundits, aren't even all that bad considering some of their past behavior. So you go down the line of censorship in favor of sustainability by making your company, your social media platform have ad revenue or be able to attract users or just not be a terrible place. Because let me tell you, regular people are not going to be on an environment where it's constantly gore and child violence and things like that too. So you're going to have to give up freedom of speech and give up this like complete hailstorm of ideas in order to sustain yourself, which means you're gonna piss off a lot of your audience. It's the catch-22 all of these networks put themselves in, and they all learn the hard way. So just like skip all the steps and make one with a lot of rules to make it decent for people.
Exactly. Well, look, in practice, that's what they've done. And by the way, a lot of these places do have much more hate speech than places like Twitter and Facebook. They do have a lot more misinformation, intentional misinformation.
Saying something.
So if that's what like free speech means to you, okay, I guess you can get a little bit more of that. But they also ban people quite frequently for spreading things that they don't like. Not gonna spend much time on Gab, but it bans users for posting anime porn. It's literally just cartoons. And if you can't do that, how free are you really, people?
You can even do that on Twitter, allegedly.
Exactly. Rumble, which I hear from Glenn Greenwald, is not ideological. It doesn't have any sort of ideological bent. It has a long list of things that they can ban you for, all sorts of stuff. Some of it complying with laws, some of it like, let's see, number 13, any other content or material that Rumble in its sole, unfettered, and arbitrary discretion determines is undesirable. That means whatever they want. They can take off literally anything they want. And since they are for right-wingers, owned by right-wingers, designed to appeal to right-wingers, it's probably gonna be bent against the left. And that at the end of the day is the big thing. I can point out also that Parler has banned a lot of leftists who joined and posted comments that they didn't like. They literally on Parler say that they can ban posts that are irrelevant to the conversation. Not like untrue or dangerous, just it's not relevant, so you can ban it. Female nipples, even cartoon or drawn ones are banned, but buttock is acceptable, so that's good. You can fit in some buttock. But anyway, it's a constant across all of this. But what you need to bear in mind is that I am not trying to get through to right wingers and convince them that no true source of ultimate free speech exists, because that isn't actually what they want. They're not interested in that. They're interested in feeling superior, feeling on top. They want leftists to be censored. They want their stuff to be promoted. They want their conversations to be the only ones that matter. That's what they want, and that they can get at these sites. They don't get free speech. Plenty of stuff gets banned and censored, but they feel better there. And at the end of the day, that's what they want. And while Elon Musk probably can't deliver on the fantasy that he's spinning about how great the new Twitter is gonna be, I'm sure he can manipulate things in ways that benefit the right, and they'll enjoy that much more than the stuff they claim to be looking for. The verification thing seems terrible in like 20 different ways that don't have much to do with the actual cost. This seems designed to hurt like the most marginalized verified people, like local journalists, local candidates, people who $240 a year for a totally needless thing is unnecessary. But it goes way beyond that. The fact that you apparently will just be able to buy verification, we'll see. Can you just do that if literally the only intent of your thing is to impersonate another person? Like the whole reason that verification exists is to stop the sort of thing that this might make purchasable. And so I feel like this is gonna drive a lot of people away. I'm considering whether I want to be on Twitter, and it's not tied to the verification cost or whatever. I'm like seriously thinking what I actually get out of Twitter now anyway. I enjoyed live tweeting Game of Thrones back in the day, but aside from that, I'm not really sure if it's worth being on it. I haven't made any decisions, but really fast, what do you think before we move on?
I think people go to social networks like Twitter for the community. I sure went for the community, and I'll go wherever the communities that I enjoy, whether it's music Twitter or journo Twitter or whatever. Wherever those go, I will probably end up being. But yeah, Elon Musk is way in over his head. That's just my overall take in this, and it should be fun to watch.
Yeah, 100%. Not to mention that to get this thing that he supposedly wants, this new verification thing, they are absolutely working their workers into the ground. And there's a plausible theory that it's being done intentionally so that he can then fire them supposedly for cause because they couldn't reach this impossible arbitrary deadline. But the thing that's most sick about that is he clearly despises workers, and yet he's cast this spell on his fans where every single worker that he abuses or fires, they interpret that as a good thing, because they've been convinced that all of these people are wokesters or something. This is the working class being trained to despise itself.
When I had that back and forth with Elon Musk, he got off his pedestal really quickly when I pointed out he was abusing his workers, and then he got really defensive. Yeah. So yeah. I think that's a point we should be hammering.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.